Dean of International College, as well as Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences, Asia University, Taiwan, and participants of the online academic seminar shifting to the new normal. What can students do locally and globally to thrive in the crisis of COVID-19? It is my great pleasure and honor to greet you in the online academic seminar organized by Office of Universitas Negeri Jakarta, UNJ, Vice Rector for Planning and Cooperation Affairs. I am so proud to inform you that the participants of the seminar are not only the UNJ students, but also UNJ lecturers. Hence, the participants also come from UNJ inbound domestic exchange students, UNJ international student from in Indonesia. From you that the Asia University of Taiwan and UNJ UNJ 2000 universities implemented, such as the summer program in Taiwan, online summer courses, will attain much knowledge and broaden their horizon globally and thriving in the crisis of COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, we realize the COVID-19 is one of the direst threats the world has ever faced. The COVID-19 pandemic surely changed most of the societal institution system, including higher education institution or university system, both in learning and teaching. Pre-COVID education mostly takes place in school, colleges, and universities. Because of COVID-19 pandemic, many educational institutions are closing, including in Indonesia. To compensate for the closure of schools or universities, the priority was to mobilize distant learning solution. Teachers, parents, and especially students rapidly had to adopt digital technologies to enable the transfer of curriculum-based studies to virtual spaces and home to minimize disruption to learning and teaching. The limitation of physical distancing and develop crucial social and emotional skills, including empathy and solidarity, could prove a survival strategy for sustaining learning communities through and beyond COVID-19. We have now experienced the COVID-19 pandemic for about 5 months. For students, anxiety about exam has been replaced with the anxiety about COVID-19, educational and professional prospects and future plans. I do hope the online academic seminar on shifting to the new normal, what can students do locally and globally to thrive in the crisis of COVID-19, will give the participant insight and on how to cope with this new normal in education. Also how they can thrive locally and globally and succeed with their learning goals. Once again, Prof. Chen, thank you for your contribution to the seminar.
Thank you for the invitation.
I wish for the success of the online academic seminar today. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Toto, for the opening remark. I will now hand over the seminar to our moderator, Pak Ahmad Hakam. Please, Pak Ahmad Hakam.
Thank you, Ibu Auda, and also the welcome remark from Dr. Totok Bintoro, Vice Rector for Planning and Cooperation Affairs of UNJ. And thank you for the participation. And I think we have now 5 pages on my screen here. So welcome to this online seminar. The topic is very relevant to our situation today, and it's a good opportunity for us to get insights from distinguished speaker, Professor Chen, from College of Humanities and Social Sciences, as well as the Dean, International College, Asia University, Taiwan. Before Professor Chen deliver his talk about this topic, I would like to read a brief CV and about his education, work experience, and also some research fields and interests, and also research publications. Professor Chen completed his Ph.D. in University of Maryland, United States of America. He also completed his master's degree in foreign languages and literature, National Taiwan University, and he completed his BA in National Taiwan Normal University. He has been working as a professor and dean at the International College of Humanities and Social Sciences, Asia University, Taiwan, professor and deputy dean, the International College, Asia University, Taiwan, associate professor and dean, College of Humanities and Management, Puyin University, and also at some other universities that I cannot mention here because his broad experience. And also his, I would like to read a little bit about his research fields and interests, which is Victorian literature, the English novel, cultural studies, English for specific purposes, material writer, internationalization of higher education. And his research publication, I have here about more than 20 publications. And the latest one is titled, Is There a Feminist Text in Jane Eyre? Reappraisal, Journal of Literature and Art Studies, 2019. And also in 2017, The Limitation and Development of Elizabeth Gaskell's Social Vision, Journal of Literature and Art Studies. And there are more than 20 conference papers, and also he also wrote some theses and books. This is written in Mandarin, I cannot read, and then I will mention some of the English title. For example, English for Hospitality and Tourism, 2011, and also Chief Editor Advisor for Links Publishing Company, and also in 2010, Chief Editorial Advisor, Bookman Publishing Company, and also Links Publishing Company in 2010. Without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Chen to deliver his talk titled, What Can Students Do Locally and Globally to Thrive in the Crisis of COVID-19? Professor Chen, the time is yours, please.
Okay, thank you, Park Ahmad, for this excellent, wonderful introduction. And also thank you for giving me this opportunity to present my view about the so-called the new normal, especially the new normal for our students to succeed locally and globally. And okay, actually from the first page, This is some corner of Asia University. You can see in the middle, we have the so-called museum. The right-hand side, we have the dome. That's the main building. And then we have the pond, the duck pond, okay? This is, give you some idea about Asia University. And my next slide, okay? Can I have the next slide? Hello? Okay. Can I control my PowerPoint? Okay, this give you some view of Asia University. This is a photo taken just recently from some good position. Okay, this is how Asia University looks like, especially during May and June months. All the campus looks like a beautiful garden with all kinds of flowers in full blossom. Next, please. Hello? Hello? Yes. Can I have can I control the PowerPoint myself? Yes. Okay. So I just want to get started with the term, what is meant by the new normal? Okay, what is meant by the new normal? Because the title for this afternoon is, what can student, what can student do to thrive in the so-called age of the new normal, in the age of the new normal? So when people talk about the new normal, people always think that's the term that comes after this outbreak of virus. But actually, what I want to emphasize here is, actually the term was used before the outbreak of this virus. In other words, we have the new normal, the term first, and now the term was used for a new sense, for a new meaning. So what is meant by the new normal? Hello, can you let me control my PowerPoint? Can I share my PowerPoint to you so that I know? Can I do that? Hello?
Yes, hello. Yes,
yeah.
Professor, I think you can do that.
Okay. No, it says it's control at your end.
Hang on. Yeah. Yes, you can share it now. Prof. Chen?
Okay, now, okay, now it's okay, okay, very good, very good. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay. So I think, like this advisor, senior advisor talks about the new normal, thoughts about the shape of things to come in the post-pandemic world. But what I just want to emphasize is, actually the term was used well before the outbreak of COVID-19. For example, Harari, in his important book called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, he also argued actually strangeness becomes the new normal. And the book was written in the year 2017. In other words, well before the outbreak of COVID-19. When he used the term, the new normal, actually, he refers to the uncertainty and unprecedented situation created by the new technologies. For example, the bioengineering, for example, the artificial intelligence, the algorithms, and etc. that we humans are encountering, that we humans are confronting every day. Okay, this is what Harari meant by the new normal. So he also argued such profound change may well transform the basic structure of life, making this continuity its most salient, remarkable feature. So today, we talk about this continuity. We talk about the difficulty for a stable identity. We talk about we are facing a very unprecedented, uncertain human situation. This is what is meant by the new normal. So don't mistake that the new normal was used only after the outbreak of this virus. Actually, it was used way before that, talking about, you know, how new machines, how new technologies have generated new situations for humankind. We are all facing a totally new and unexperienced situation. So this is the new normal. So try to bear in mind what is meant by the new normal. And then in the context of COVID-19, the term, the new normal, could be misleading. Meaning this global crisis of virus is the new normal, is now in the age of this virus. If everything turned out to be the normal, then that means we can easily relax any proactive protection measures against this virus. So I do believe in some other countries, and certainly in Indonesia, your government strongly advise, you know, the people not to use the term the new normal. Because if you think it's the new normal, everything is normal, then it could be quite misleading. It could be quite dangerous in the crisis of COVID-19. So your government, so far as I understand, advise your people to use a new term called new adaptation, okay? But in the context of education, new normal also refer to new methods of delivery of subject contents, especially online delivery by the teachers at home. For the students, also new methods of learning, like online learning at home for students. So I think if we focus on education, the new normal also poses a new challenge to both teachers and students. For teachers, they have to learn how to deliver their subject contents, sometimes in classroom, sometimes online. And for students, online learning, offline learning, I think, you know, this kind of blended learning, to me, is gaining momentum and will become the new norm. So the new normal for education should be, you know, thought in this context, okay? And I just give you some idea about what we have been doing in terms of education for the so-called the new normal. You all learn Asia University each year is organizing summer program for our partner university around the world. Last year, we have about 650 students from 44 universities coming to Asia University campus for our summer program. This year, because of the virus, we decided to go online. So we have 7 English taught online summer programs. And you'll be quite surprised to learn the number of students even outnumber, exceed the number we had for last year. For this year, we have in total 924 students from 51 partner universities in 11 countries, including UNJ. Thanks for UNJ, we have 34 students for our summer program, okay? So this could be a new normal in terms of education. In other words, we don't have to go to the host university physically, in person, to learn something new from different perspectives. And also, just last month, we have our first, and actually the first one in Taiwan, the so-called education fair through online. So we have online education fair. I invite 28 universities in Taiwan, both public and private. Each university take turns to present their features, their strength, their achievements through online. And I was quite surprised. More than 2,000 viewers watch our education fair. I know Teto in Jakarta also established one education center in UNJ, and I have constant contact with Grace, and I strongly advise Grace to have some kind of like online education fair. So like online education fair could be also a new normal in terms of education. And then the second one, actually, I just sent a message a few days ago to Vice Rector Totok, okay, about the virtual exchange program. We have been considering, to conduct virtual exchange program. In other words, your students don't have to come over to Asia University, and our students don't have to go over to your university, but they can still attend exchange program courses. So we have been talking this with ITB, with ITS, with UNJ, with UNJ, and with your university. So I believe, 1 or 2 weeks from now, this kind of discussion will become a reality for our students. When the virus disappears, where virtual exchange program remains, I think probably from my understanding, eventually in the future, we might be able to create 2 tracks, okay, 2 formats of exchange program. One is the so-called physical. Students have to go to the host university. The other could be the so-called the virtual exchange program. So thinking about the new normal in terms of education, we are facing a new reality, probably also a crisis as well as an opportunity. So because we are going to focus on how to help our students thrive in the crisis of COVID-19. So I would like to get started with this very inspiring book called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. I mentioned this book by Harari because he is now a world famous historian, okay, one of the very famous historians. And in this recent book, just published 2 or 3 years ago, he had one important chapter on education. So for those who want to foresee how education is, moving for the 21st century, for the future, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century might be one of the books for you to read. And in that particular chapter, actually it's chapter 19. What does Harari say about education? He has a subtitle for this chapter. Change is the only constant. The only thing that doesn't change is change itself. This is very philosophical. Actually, this notion of flux, this notion of change comes from ancient Greece, But from Harari's perspective, he is arguing in today's world, the world of enormous amounts of information, the last thing a teacher needs to give his or her pupils is more information. So he strongly advised the teacher not to cram too much information to the student. And unfortunately, a lot of teachers, a lot of professors still think in terms of, a production line, thinking education as, production line, very popular in the Industrial Revolution period, okay? But he is arguing our students have already far too much of information. So instead, they need the ability to make sense of information. In other words, to be able to find out the right information, the important information for themselves, to tell the difference between what is important and what is unimportant. And above all, to combine many bits of information into a broad picture of the world. And this sentence reminds me one of the speeches delivered by Steve Jobs. We all remember Steve Jobs delivered a very interesting and inspiring, speech at Stanford University commencement. In that speech, Steve Jobs talked about 3 stories. He told 3 stories regarding himself. And in the first story, he talked about connecting dots. At first, it looked like just a dot, unrelated, irrelevant. But if you look at all the different dots, after a few while, okay, sometime later, you come to realize all these different dots, actually, they are connected in one way or another. This is what is meant by Steve Jobs called connecting dots. And I think, Harari is arguing we need to teach our students how to combine bits of information into a broad picture of the world. This is some of his idea on education. And he also talks about the 4 C's. And actually, I'm quite familiar with the 4 C's because these 4 C's is the education aim of my college. If you search the webpage of my college at Asia University, you come to realize we put 4 C's as our education purposes. The 4 C's refer to critical thinking. This is the first C. The second C refer to communication. The third refer to collaboration, and then creativity. Okay. In other words, to Harari, of course, this is not Harari's original idea. Actually, many experts in education have shared this view of education. In other words, today we need to teach our students not the traditional information. Instead, we need to teach our students how to develop these 4 C skills or concepts. So school should downplay technical skills and emphasize general purpose life skills. Okay, so what is more important is teach our students the ability to deal with change, to learn new things, and to preserve the mental balance in unfamiliar situations. Unfamiliar situations are the situations human beings are encountering every day now. Okay, so this is something for us to teach our students. So if our students need to thrive in the age of COVID-19 or even in the 21st century, these are the more important, more essential abilities. And then here you see to Harari, strangeness, uncertainty is the new normal. So as I just mentioned in my opening remarks, actually the new normal is not the term just used now. It's a term used well before the outbreak of the virus. So we need to teach our students to stay relevant, related, not just economically relevant, but also socially relevant. So we need to teach our students the ability to constantly learn as a lifetime, job, also to reinvent ourselves. So our strangeness becomes the new normal. Our past experiences, as well as the past experiences of the whole of humanity, will become less reliable guides. So I think, when we think about the new normal in terms of education, normal means something we have experienced before and we trust. It's valid, it's reliable, it's valuable. But think about the age we are living. We are living in the 21st age. Change has become the new norm. Everything is changing, okay? Changing for better or for worse. I don't think we can judge at the moment. But because we are living in the world of flux, in the world of change, so how to live in a world where profound change, where profound uncertainty is a feature. This is something for us to teach our students. So I think, the first thing I want to argue for this presentation is try to remember we are living in a world of change. And our students, when they, go to the market, perhaps they will find the kind of jobs we cannot imagine, or even they cannot imagine today. So how to teach our students to prepare for the future jobs? Usually as teachers, we use our past experience to teach our students, and we come to realize perhaps this will no longer work for education today. I just give you one example. When we decided to go online of our summer program this year, at first I was thinking, last year we have more than 650 students coming over to Taiwan. So at the beginning, when I planned this summer program online, I told my president, I told my colleague, this year, if we could find, let's say, 200, we would be more than happy. But as I mentioned to you in the beginning, this year, we have more than 924. Obviously, the number is unimaginable. This was a shock to me. So I start to reflect upon myself. I was thinking, perhaps I was too senior. I belong to the old generation. I just cannot imagine our new generation, our students belong to the so-called, digital natives. They are digital generation. So for them, everything online has become quite habitual. So this is something for us to think about, how to teach and what to teach our students. Okay, so could be new normal in this sense. And here is another, a book by another, inspiring, Professor Kathy Davidson. He has a book also recently released called The New Education. Okay, and in her book, she argues the new education must prepare our students to thrive, to succeed in a world of flux, in a world of change, to be ready no matter what comes next. So we must empower our students to be lead of innovation and to be able not only to adapt, okay, to the changing world, but also to change the world, okay? So what is also emphasized is our students are living in a world of change. So they need to get prepared, okay, for this, ever-changing world. This is another book, okay? And I think, we are all familiar with this P21 Framework for 21st century learning. In this framework, if you look at the central, the yellow, part, you see the 4 C's. Learning and innovation skill, the 4 C's. Critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And the rest are the so-called support systems to make this happen. So this gives some idea about the general view of 21st education should look like. Okay, and another inspiring book from my perspective is The World is Flat, okay, by Thomas Friedman. Of course, Thomas Friedman now is under attack by his argument for globalization. A lot of scholars begin to argue against the notion of globalization. Okay, but for all this, I believe the book is still a valid, has a very valid argument for education. The world is flat. How to prepare our students to face this, new reality. Okay, and at Asia University, I always mention this person to my students. I always, ask my girl student, when they decide to, get married, where are they going to spend to have their honeymoon? Some students tell me they would go, for honeymoon to Switzerland. Some say to, some other European country, Italy, Spain, for example. I keep telling my girl student, if you want to marry your man, okay, never promise until your boyfriend promise you to take you to the Mars for the honeymoon, to the planet, to the Mars. Unbelievable, right? How could we spend our honeymoon in Mars? But I can tell you, if today I have audience, let's say about 20 years old or 25 years old, believe me, you will have your honeymoon, you will have your trip on Mars. If not next 10 years, then could be, next 20 years. And this honeymoon trip to Mars becomes a reality, becomes possible, all because of this person, Elon Musk. Okay, and I strongly advise both teacher and student, if possible, try to read his biography. Very inspiring because he is a big dreamer. And as a teacher, we need to cultivate, in our students to be big dreamers. And Elon Musk, you might happen to know, is the founder of Tesla. We all know Tesla is a famous, vehicle, cars, automobiles using electricity, not the traditional, power. He also has SpaceX. Okay, and it's unbelievable, the SpaceX can help the United States launch, the rocket into the orbit. In Taiwan, we have 7, rockets, the so-called weather detecting, satellite running or moving around the orbit. It's all through SpaceX. Because if you have SpaceX launch the rocket for you, it's less expensive because all the rocket once used can be reused and reused. That's the reason why in the future, going to the Mars for your honeymoon will become affordable. Okay, we can all afford to pay for the trip. And this is something for us to bear in mind. Elon Musk, a big dreamer. Another big dreamer, probably some teachers, some scholar might not like this person, Christopher Columbus, okay? Because of his big dream, okay, he started the so-called Western expansionism. Okay, of course, as Asian people, we might like the idea of Western expansionism, but because of his big dream, he made this become a reality, and he will always be remembered in history as the very first one who happened to discover the American continent. Okay, so back to the world is flat. This is one important argument by Thomas Friedman, the so-called untouchable. Untouchable, actually, the term was originally used in India, referring to the people begging on the streets, okay, living on the streets because they are too poor, and because they are also quite, dangerous in the sense that they might have, they might carry different kind of diseases. So when people, see these, street beggars, street people, they will try to keep away from these people, calling these people the untouchable. But Thomas Friedman just distort the meaning of the term by saying in a flat world, all individuals need to make themselves become untouchable. Okay, untouchable. So what is meant by untouchable means people whose jobs cannot be outsourced, whose job cannot be digitized, whose job cannot be automated, or you can say whose job cannot be replaced by machines, by robotics, by artificial intelligence. This is something for us to teach our students to become the untouchable. Okay, and he also categorized 8 categories, 8 items to refer to what is meant to be the untouchable in today's world. He called the new middle because the traditional middle class, according to Thomas Friedman, has disappeared. Okay, so we have a new middle class, emerged, and these 8 categories, including the localizers, personalizers, the green people, the adapters, okay, etc., the synthesizers, the collaborators. That's the reason why we need to teach our students the importance of collaboration. And for Thomas Friedman, he believed these 5 skills are very important for today's young people. The first is learning how to learn. Actually, not just learning how to learn. Students also need to learn how to unlearn. Unlearn means to get rid of our bias, our prejudice, our wrong information, our mistaken, information. And after unlearn, we need to learn how to relearn. So how to learn actually, includes 3 parts: learn, unlearn, and then relearn. The second important skill is the so-called navigation. Navigation means to find out, to search, to look for the right and important information we need, because we are living in an age of the so-called big data. Everything is big. Information is too much. Information is too big. How to find the right material, the right information for us is some important skill for our students. Then the third, formula for success is CQ plus PQ is bigger, is more important than IQ. We all know IQ. We all know EQ, okay? EQ, emotional. But what is CQ? What is PQ? If we teach our students these 2 things, combine CQ and PQ together, then Thomas Friedman believed, our students have more, chance to thrive, to succeed. CQC refer to curiosity. Curiosity is important. Sorry, if we remember Steve Jobs, address, at Stanford University, Steve Jobs always advised students to follow their curiosity if they want to become a success. And PQ, here P refer to passion, of course, okay? The passion, of course, okay? And then the fourth, formula success is to stress liberal arts. And I think because we are too much influenced by new technology, so many government, many leaders have ignored the importance of liberal arts. Actually, liberal art has one important function. Okay, we used to think, horizontal from bottom to the top. Okay, but liberal arts help us to think not vertical but horizontal. Sorry, vertical. We used to think vertically, but liberal art help us to think horizontally. Again, back to Steve Jobs, it's called connecting the dots. Okay, and the fifth, skill is the right brain stuff. I think it's believed that human brain has two parts, the right brain and the left brain, and we have overused our left brain because left brain controls, reasoning, control intelligence. Whereas the right brain, according to the belief, the right brain will control human emotion, human feeling, and our students need to learn how to how to develop good social skills. So the right brain stuff. I think this is something, and I just elaborate all this. I will just skip quite quickly to learn how to learn. This is navigation, okay? And then this is CQ plus PQ is bigger than or more important than IQ. And this is stressing liberal arts. The flattening world initiated a global shift from vertical thinking to horizontal thinking. And I think this is important. In the past, we used to think vertically, but today we need to think horizontally. That's the importance of collaboration. That's the importance of connecting the dots, okay? And the liberal arts actually play a key role in this integration. And here I want to mention one book, perhaps for your reference, called In Defense of a Liberal Education by Farid Zakari, okay? A book written in 2015. And this is, using the right brain, okay? To survive and flourish in today's world, we need to teach our students, the so-called mental flexibility and great reserve of emotional balance. Okay, this has much to do with the so-called the ability of social skills. And this is another book called Our Underachieving Colleges by Derek Borg. Derek Borg was the former president of Harvard University, and he talked about the 8 lessons young people need to cultivate, need to learn, from ability to communicate, from critical thinking, from moral reasoning, and citizen preparation, living with diversity, living in a more global society, developing a breadth of interest, and then the last, ability is preparing for work. Okay, and because I am from Asia University, I just used 2 or 3 PowerPoint to say a few words about learning and teaching at Asia University. Okay, the map of Taiwan, and Asia University is located in central part of Taiwan. And you also know that Asia University is the youngest university in Taiwan. But very fortunate for us, we are also, the most international university in Taiwan. This year, we are only 20 years. Imagine what happened in the year 2000. Fear of sugarcane, watermelon. Today, a beautiful campus. This is the transformation. Okay, and this is some facts about Asia University. We have 7 colleges. We have 1 affiliate hospital. We have about 500 faculties. We have a little bit more than 12,000 students, not counting about 700 international students. And this is something perhaps for us to share with you, AI education. Because we are living in the age of AI, so AI education has become compulsory at Asia University. All students need to learn AI, in their, program. So we offer basic programming compulsory courses for 1 year, programming. We offer computational thinking courses, okay? We also offer bachelor degree, master degree, and PhD degree in AI, okay, in AI. And each discipline is asked to emphasize AI plus X. In other words, all disciplines need to be in connection with AI, like humanity, AI plus humanities, like, social work, AI plus social work. This is something, we need to learn at Asia University. And we also have a smart library, okay? This is just experience room for all the students to come over to experience what is meant by living at an AI age, okay? And this is another important thing for our students. This is called education for global talents. And this is Asia University's student mobility project. We call 318 project for internationalization, okay? And at Asia University, internationalization is a mindset, is an attitude. Again, I would say, you try to compact to fight against COVID-19, but I would argue fighting against COVID-19 is a mindset, is an attitude. If Taiwan is, relatively speaking, a more successful country in fighting against COVID-19, that is because we emphasize a lot on the so-called awareness raising. In other words, the government teach the citizen, okay, to be aware of the danger of COVID-19. And also the government is trying to be very transparent, okay, in all the information about COVID-19. We have the so-called honest reporting of the situation. So on the one hand, we have a reliable government. On the other hand, we have the so-called, willing to trust community, okay? The communities are willing to trust the government. And I think these two work together, okay? A reliable government, willing to collaborate, willing to trust community, work together to make Taiwan a success country in terms of fighting against COVID-19. So if UNJ, for example, want to develop the so-called internationalization project, I think the mindset, the attitude is more important, okay? So to us at Asia University, internationalization is an attitude. So what is meant by 3+1? 3 refer to 3 languages. All students, including international bachelor degree students, need to learn 3 languages. Mandarin Chinese, of course, because Taiwan today is still a Mandarin speaking society. So we emphasize the importance of Mandarin. Our students need to be very good because we are speaking the language. And then we emphasize the importance of English language. English has become a lingua franca, has become the common language in the world. But the third language is not a second foreign language. We also offer, second foreign language like Spanish, like German, like French, like Japanese, We also offer Bahasa Indonesia. We also offer Vietnamese, Korean language, and even Indian language. But we emphasize more on programming language, okay? So this is called 318. One refer to what? One refer to student need to go abroad at least once in 4 years. So before student graduate, all the office in the department will check whether their student have fulfilled this requirement or not. Okay, this is called 1-8, refer to A pathways, different pathways for going abroad. Some students going abroad for summer program, some go for semester exchange, some go for double degree, some go for internship, some go for international service, some go for international conference to present papers, and some go for world competition like design competition. Okay, so this is our internship. An internship at Asia University is required for all the undergraduates, either for the summer or for one semester and some for one academic year. Okay, like if you see the photo with the timetable and you see me in the middle, I was visiting my student at Changi International Airport in Singapore. Every year I send about 20 students to Changi Airport for 1 year internship at the airport. Students didn't have to take a single course at Asia University, but when they return, they could earn about 27 credits to 30 credits. In other words, they don't have to make up for the year they take for internship, because we believe classroom is not the only learning place. Okay, the market, the working place are also good learning sites. This is for internship. We also have students going to 3D printing at Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. Okay, some go to India, some go to United States for internship, and this is also for volunteer services. Asia University, by all means, is a volunteer university. So every year we send 100 students overseas to different countries for all types of internship, okay? To India, to some other countries. So I think, because I know I'm running out of time, I have overused more than 8 minutes. So I pause here for you to raise any question if you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Chen, for inspiring talk today in this online academic seminar. And before the audience can ask questions, I would like to highlight some important points from this discussion. And perhaps I will recap some of the important points in Bahasa Indonesia, since most of our audience is Indonesian. So just to make sure that they get the idea completely and don't miss the important points before they can ask. Baik, Bapak, Ibu, dan peserta semuanya, saya hanya akan melihat beberapa poin yang penting di sini. Dari pertama secara singkat saja, tapi nanti boleh bertanya langsung, so the audience can ask directly to Professor in English or in Bahasa Indonesia, and then I will help with the translation. Yang pertama, istilah new normal itu bukanlah terkait dengan pandemi saja. Istilah ini new normal itu sebelumnya sudah pernah ada dibahas, dan sebenarnya ini terkait dengan adalah perubahan yang begitu cepat dan selalu terjadi. Nah, jadi istilah new normal adalah sebuah ketidakpastian dan situasi yang belum pernah terjadi sebelumnya. Apapun itu, dahulu pernah terjadi, teknologi mengubah segalanya dan perlu adaptasi baru. dan seterusnya dan seterusnya. Kemudian yang berikutnya adalah dalam hal pendidikan, guru pada saat ini perlu membantu siswa mengolah informasi, bukan memberikan informasi, karena informasi itu sudah banyak sekali dan peserta didik itu mendapatkan informasi begitu banyak, sehingga yang diperlukan oleh peserta didik pada saat ini adalah guru membantu mereka membedakan mana informasi yang penting kemudian dan yang tidak penting, dan mengkombinasikan informasi sehingga peserta didik bisa mengkaitkan satu informasi dengan yang lainnya sehingga mendapatkan gambaran besar tentang dunia ini. Kemudian di abad ke-21 yang perlu juga dikembangkan adalah critical thinking, berpikir kritis, komunikasi, kolaborasi, dan kreativitas. Ini merupakan hal yang sangat dibutuhkan dalam era ini. Dan sekolah itu ataupun lembaga pendidikan selalu perlu memberikan hal-hal yang baru dan mempersiapkan peserta didik untuk hal-hal yang akan selalu berubah, karena perubahan adalah sesuatu hal yang pasti. Jadi new normal bukanlah sebuah perubahan ekonomi saja, tapi juga perubahan sosial, di mana saat ini ketidakpastian harus dilihat sebagai sebuah kelebihan, bukan sebagai kekurangan. Dan beberapa hal lain juga tadi sudah disampaikan oleh Profesor Chen, dan bisa dipersilahkan untuk bertanya. So, thank you Professor Chen. I have recapped some of the important points in Bahasa Indonesia, and it is now the time for audience to ask questions, and I will give the opportunity for the audience who raise their hands first. So we can have 2 sessions for now. The first session is for 3 questions. The second session is also 3 questions. And if we still have time, we might have the third session.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So please, from the audience, you can raise your hand. Just give me the sign to ask the questions. Okay, so I see here Azizah Andalasia. Okay, so please maybe Ibu Audah or Mbak Ayu, you can unmute Azizah Andalasia. She has
Ibu atau Mbak Aziza Hanum, please. You may
As a teacher, I'm from the teacher who decide what to teach. If we can, involve our student in the choice of teaching material, in the choice of contents, I think, if students think what they've been learning, is quite interesting, I think they will have better motivation. I believe, sometimes because I'm from humanities, I always, assign books for my students to read. And I always assign the so-called classics because I believe in classics. Then I come to realize my students are quite, resistant about my select of books. So once I just ask my student, okay, go ahead. You just choose your own. The key for motivation. So of course, different subjects, different teachers might find a different, and appropriate way to engage students. But from my perspective, I can give you one more example. For example, in the beginning of the semester, I always divide my students into small groups for better discussion. How did I divide my students into groups? I use zodiacs. Okay, I use zodiacs to divide my students. Okay, Leo, this group. Okay, Cancer, the other group, and we have 12 groups every semester. And then I ask the first class, each student to learn about their zodiac. And then because students are interested in their own, fortune, so they start to learn about the zodiac. And through this kind of motivation, I just, can have a very easy time the whole semester. This is my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for the answer, and that's really helpful for us. One of the ways to motivate students is about engagement, and also perhaps not only, perhaps that is what we call student centered, right? So
Yes,
we
yes.
look
Yeah.
through the students, and then we engage what would be their interest, and we use their interest to to learn.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the next question, please. You can just raise your hand and then speak. Okay, I see Adinda Frida Febri. Are you going to ask the question? Okay, we are still waiting for the audience to ask the question. Okay, so we have another question here in the in the first session from Maria Diana.
Yes.
Okay, please, Maria Diana, you can ask directly to the to Professor Chen.
Well, Professor, I think the virtual student exchange is really great initiation, and I just wonder when we participate in that student exchange, uh, we will use the general platform
partner universities what kind of learning platform to use. I think will eventually become one of the so-called new normal, one of the new normals. Okay, so fortunately, you know, ITS, ITB, and UNER and ONDIP, they have all, we have all agreed to work together, including UNJ. So I believe this coming fall semester, we will be able to make our dream become a reality.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Very good question.
Thank you, Maria Diana. Do the participants will get the scholarship for the exchange program, Professor Chen?
I think we offer free, okay, because they are not coming to Asia University, okay. They stay at UNJ, okay, because it's a virtual exchange. But we promise we offer, you know, all the exchange courses for free. We don't charge.
Okay, good. That's a good news. Okay. So I believe many of the students who are participating in this online seminar, they would like to know more later about this. Okay, so
Sure.
in this first session, we have the last question for the first session, which is from Padma Azahra. Okay, Padma Azahra, would you like to ask directly to Professor Chen, please?
Good afternoon, Professor Chen. I
Yes.
actually have asked you in the chat session because, or I should talk about you indirectly.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Hello, Professor Chen and everyone in here. My name is Padma Zara from University Negeri Jakarta. Allow me to ask a question. Talking about the obstacles such as losing motivation to learn in online platform, how about the different obstacles such as a student doesn't have a phone to do online courses or they could not access their online courses for some reason? Thank you so much, Professor Chen.
Okay, I think, you know, if student cannot do online courses, take online courses at home, probably, you know, the university itself can provide us, you know, some, you know, facility for students to share at the school. So I think, you know, because at Asia University, we also have some students who live quite remote from the city, you know, some even in the mountain areas, and there the facility might not be that convenient. So we have, you know, we ask students, would you like to do online at home without coming over to Asia University, or you like to work at Asia University? We would reserve a certain space for this purpose. So also I believe UNJ can do this for you if you are allowed to enter UNJ, unless it's paid, the school is all closed. But if the situation like that, that's another story. But here at Asia University, as I said, everything is normal. School has never been closed. Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you, Professor Chen and also Padma. Okay, so we now move to the second session of the question and answer session. So I also open for 3 questions for the audience to ask, please. You can raise your hand and then ask. Okay, you can just unmute yourself and then ask question directly to Professor Chen. So Mari Okatini, okay, the first question from Mari Okatini in the second session of the question and answer session, please.
Dalam bahasa Indonesia dulu ya Pak Ahmad.
Okay, in bahasa Indonesia first, okay, no problem.
Bagaimana mengatasi masalah kendala dalam kondisi COVID ini untuk pembelajaran, khususnya pembelajaran vokasional ataupun keterampilan. Terima kasih.
Oke, baik, terima kasih Ibu Mari Okatini. So, Professor Chen, this is a question from Ibu Mari about the vocational schools. How do we cope with this situation in, in the learning process for vocational schools and also other, education which is in nature, it's vocation, more practical than theory. How could it be possible we conduct this school or these vocational schools in this situation?
Okay, terima kasih for the question. Okay, I think because a vocational school in Taiwan is about 50% of our higher education. So if we divide vocational education and general or comprehensive education, we have about equal 50% of general education or comprehensive education, another 50% of vocational education. But in Taiwan, as I mentioned, even at Asia University is not a vocational university. We are comprehensive university, but we require each student to do internship before they graduate. So internship is required. So I think because internship means you learn the skill, you learn the knowledge on site in the industries. Okay, so I think if you talk about vocational school, I think learning by doing is the philosophy. Learning by doing. So probably your school or your university need to create this kind of policy. All students, especially students from vocational school, need to do internship before they graduate. For your information, actually, this week we have 11 students from vocational school, vocational college of Elenga University, UNJ, who came over to Asia University last year for the so-called our joint degree program. We use the so-called 3+1 format. They finished 3 years of vocational school education. They come to Asia University for the last year, and this week we offer them, degree diploma. So with this degree diploma, when they return back to Surabaya, they also receive, UNJ's degree diploma. This is called double degree. And these 11 students, when they come to Asia University, we need to put them, in industries for them to do internship. Of course, to us, the big challenge is the language barrier, because these 11 students have very good English ability, but unfortunately, for all our efforts, Taiwan is still a Mandarin-speaking society. So when these students are placed in the industry, they have some difficulty in the beginning, to work in such an environment. But later on, they find a way to survive. Okay, this would be my answer for your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Professor Chen. So Demikian Ibu Mari tadi tentang vokasi, tentang
Thank you,
pendidikan
Prof.
vokasi.
Terima
Ya.
kasih, Pak.
Oke, terima kasih Ibu. Oke, so the next question is from. Okay, we have two people who raised their hands. Maria Diana. Okay. Ibu or Mbak Maria Diana, silahkan, please ask the question to Professor Chen.
Professor, it's me again.
Okay, you're welcome.
Well, about this virtual student exchange and the other activities that doing by online, I have this in mind that college education is really important, but college experience is also matter. So what do you think? Because we are a social creature that we need to contact with humans directly, and that's really important in order to make us get used to face the
we come up with a new virtual exchange program. But when we are back to normal, when the virus is gone, I believe we can do, two things. We can have physical, exchange program. Okay, we can also have virtual exchange program. In other words, we offer more, varieties. You have more choices.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you, Maria. I think you're interested to join the exchange program. Yeah, and let's hope this pandemic will, will go, and then we can go back to normal. And we have
Yeah. Please let me know when it's
internship.
open, Professor.
It's
open when UNJ is ready. We are ready now.
All right. Thank you.
Asia University ready now. Okay. When your university ready, okay, we welcome you to register as virtual exchange program students.
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the third question in the second session is from Niluh Bella. Okay, so I can just call you Bella maybe. Okay, Bella,
okay,
can
thank
you, Ibu Bella or Mbak Bella, please
Mbak,
ask the
thank
question.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Professor Chen.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Bella. Actually, I'm your student from double degree program, Asia University and Erlang University last year, right?
Okay.
And the things that I want to ask is, how about, actually my question is similar like the question before, that how about the graduate or postgraduate student, especially doing their experiment in the laboratory because of this pandemic era? And the second is, I heard that students from Indonesia can't allow to come to Taiwan until this end of this year. Is that right? Thank you.
Okay, to answer your second question first, actually Taiwan has opened the border to 19 countries, okay, to 19 countries. Unfortunately, at this stage, Indonesia is not one of the 19 countries. But so far as I know, our government will open the border probably in mid-August to students from Indonesia and India, okay? Because Indonesia is the fourth largest, country with, a student coming over to Taiwan. So I believe the government is making effort, but because the situation of COVID-19 today, it looks like it's even is still very serious in Indonesia. But I think, you know, we will find a way to cope with the situation. I do believe mankind will prevail at the end. Okay, this is my answer to your second question. About your first question, you talk about what did you say? Could you repeat your first question?
Oh, how they doing their experiment in laboratory?
Oh, okay, got it. Actually, when COVID-19 situation was serious in Taiwan, we have about 1 month of serious situation in Taiwan. Even, you know, the government asked the university never stop a student going to the lab for their learning. Okay, don't use online for lab learning. They have to learn it on site. So even the Ministry of Education emphasized that. So here in Taiwan, I believe if you need to use your hand, you need to use the lab, the facility to learn, your learning will not be disrupted by online. So we encourage online learning, but some courses, some subjects, especially in relation to, like, you know, you need to have practical experience. We don't encourage online learning. I think, you know, yeah, in the past we've been doing this. So when, as I said, when Taiwan, the COVID situation was very serious in Taiwan, all the university, especially for those students who need to go to lab, the school, are still open at the time. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Chen.
Okay, thank you, Bella. So she was your student last year.
Yes. I recognize the voice.
Okay. I want to
very good
continue my
student.
PhD in Asia University.
Yeah,
Wait
more than welcome.
Professor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have finished the second session of the questions and answer session, and I think we can go to the third session, and maybe this is the last session of the questions and answers, and I still give you the opportunity to ask for Professor Chen, and please.
Permisi, saya mau bertanya.
Okay, please. Okay.
Pakai bahasa Mandarin nggak apa-apa?
Oh yes, please.
OK，尊敬的Chen教授，您好。
你好。
我是来自雅加达国立大学的中文系的罗兰。我想，其实我对这个亚洲大学非常的感兴趣的。然后我想问以下一个问题哈，就是如何申请亚洲大学的奖学金？然后呢，我们需要满足什么样的条件？什么样的条件我们需要具备的？就是这样子。谢谢。
You want me to answer your question in Mandarin or in English?
用英文吧，让大家了解一下。
Your Mandarin is very good. Okay.
谢谢。
Yeah, I can 100% follow you. That shows that you speak very good Mandarin. Okay. Actually, if you want to come over to Asia University to study, you can apply 2 types of scholarship. The first type of scholarship is offered by TETO in Jakarta, okay, called Taiwan Government Scholarship. It's a more prestigious scholarship. The other type is offered by Asia University, but we usually evaluate a student's application based upon 5 categories. Okay, the first category is your academic performance at your home university or at your home school. Academic, okay, the so-called GPA. Okay, the GPA. The second is if you come over to study in the English talk program, we will assess your English ability. If you come over for the Chinese program, we'll assess your Chinese ability. This is the second category. The third category is the reputation of your university. Whether you come from a very good university like UNJ should be counted as a very good university, so it should be okay. This is the third category. The fourth category has much to do with the so-called your supporting credentials, okay, your supporting documents in support of your application, like the kind of honor certificates you have received, and you can present all this. I think these are the major consideration for us. So usually each year, I can give you some rough idea. Each year we have about like 700 or 800 applicants, and we will evaluate all the applicants based upon their score, okay, from the top to the bottom, and we will offer like how many applicants for scholars based upon the budget available for that year. So I believe because we are partners, so students from UNJ will have high opportunity to get a scholarship from Asia University, I believe. So welcome to apply.
好的，谢谢陈教授。
Okay, 不客气。
Thank you. Thank you, Ahiko, Roland, for the question. And okay, so we still have time for the third question or the second question. Pa Susilo, are you going to ask questions? You raise your hands. Yes, please. Okay, Pak Susilo, are you going to ask question?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, I think you have something with your microphone. Can you fix that? We can't really hear you.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello, hello.
Halo. Tuh, orang ini. Halo.
Halo.
Yeah, okay. It's clear now.
Okay.
Halo. Prof Chen, how are you?
Halo.
Hello.
Yeah, Prof Chen, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Yeah. Long time not see you. Okay.
Yes.
I have a few questions. 我想有说中文，但是别的人不明白说中文，所以我说英文。OK。
Okay, sure.
冇别的说英文啊。Okay, Mr. Chen. We know the COVID is a big problem in the world, and then we don't know when the COVID will be finished. Okay. At least in Indonesia, every day still stable 1,000 more than infection for COVID. So that's why many university we are getting busy for online, everything for Darling or everything use online education. So that's why for theoretical it doesn't matter, but for practical example with like we are from physical education, and then we cannot just using Daring for improving skill, for learning skill. We have to practical. That is will be problem. And then special now is new term all the university, like we will be received accepted all the new student study, and then they cannot come to school. They don't know how the environment school. So what your strategy or planning from Asia University to give solution for that? Thank you.
Okay, I think this is really a very tough and very technical oriented question. But actually, Asia University, aside from using online delivery of all the courses, we are moving toward the so-called using virtual reality, okay, VR and AR as part of our teaching. So for physical education, I believe if you make good use of virtual reality, you can still play golf, you can still play basketball by using virtual reality. So you might consider, trying to make good use of virtual reality for your educational purpose, because Asia University is moving, and we start, for example, at my university, I start to ask some professors to think about using virtual reality or augmented reality, VR, AR, for their educational purpose. So starting from this September, I think online delivery or physical delivery plus AR or VR will become also a blended or become the so-called the new normal. Actually, if you are in physical education or if you are in sightseeing, for example, it's quite convenient. You go to a certain tourist spot and you use virtual reality, more or less an interpreter, to introduce the tourist spot to the audience. It becomes very, very exciting, lesson. So I think for physical education, I've never thought that VR will become very useful for your educational purpose. This could be my answer now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Chen, for your questions.
Thank you.
Your answer. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Sisul, and the answer from Professor Chen. So I think we can pick one question here from the chat from Muhammad Farid from Malang. Muhammad Farid, are you going to ask directly, or I can read your question here in the chat? Hello, are you with us? Okay, so I read the chat, the question. Are there any obstacles for international students who are pursuing their study in Asia University, especially maintaining their academic standard for the students who are receiving the scholarship recipients during the COVID-19 pandemic? What is the situation there for the students in this pandemic?
Okay, I think this is not a too difficult question for me to answer, because we have students who are receiving Taiwan government scholarship have the same kind of situation. So actually, if you are okay, big almost. So if you're in Taiwan, but if you are still in Indonesia and you are the new recipient of scholarship, my understanding is your scholarship can be postponed for one semester or for 1 year because of COVID-19. But if you are the all students who have received the scholarship, then two things you need to be aware. Number one, you need to register at your host university, at your university of your degree program university. If you register, your scholarship can still pay for your tuition fee. But for monthly allowances, according to the scholarship policy, if you are not staying in Taiwan, you cannot receive monthly allowance. Okay, so two things. If you still register, you can have the scholarship pay for your tuition fee if you stay in Indonesia. But if you want to receive monthly stipend for your living, then you need to be back to Taiwan physically. Actually, if you can return back to Taiwan from Indonesia, if you have a certain way to return, Taiwan is a very safe country, no worry. We, like at Asia University, about 60% of our Indonesian students are staying. They choose not to return. And these students keep telling me, Professor Chen, Taiwan is safer than Indonesia. Okay, so it's up to the decision of the student. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you for the answer. And last question, and this is our last session for the question and answer. And I would like to have one last question before we close the seminar. Okay, I think one last question from Jovi Sulistiawan in the chat. Regarding your answer, Professor Chen, that Taiwan will open the border for Indonesia and Indian students in the mid of August. So what is your suggestion to us? Should we wait until the mid of August or defer our enrollment to the next semester?
Okay, I think, you know, you have to wait at the moment, because if you haven't had any visa coming over to Taiwan, if you apply for visa at the moment, I don't think the office like Totok office in Jakarta or Totok office in Surabaya will accept your application for visa, because it's not announced by the government yet. So I think the best strategy is to wait. But I believe, so far as I understand, you know, Taiwan will relax, you know, the so-called the border policy, not just to Indonesia, to India, to some other countries as well. This is what I've learned, you know, at least from the educational circle. So at the moment, wait, because at the moment you have no chance to get a valid visa to come over to Taiwan. When you apply, you will not be accepted at the moment because the government hasn't announced the policy yet.
All right, thank you for the answer, Professor Chen. And now the time for us to close this online academic seminar. And I would like Professor Chen to kindly give us the concluding remark from this online academic seminar. What can students do locally and globally to thrive in the crisis of COVID-19?
Okay, I think, you know, my advice to UNJ student is to be a big dreamer. Don't limit yourself to Indonesia. You have to go abroad to broaden your horizon, to open your eyes. Education, by all means, is eye-opening. Once you move away from Indonesia, you will see the world from different perspective. You will see the world from global perspective, perhaps. So try to be a big dreamer. Don't cherish what you have at the moment. Okay, dream big. This is my advice and my closing remark. Thank you for this invitation.
Thank you, Professor Chen. That was really inspiring for us, and especially for the students. Big dream, be a big dreamer, and then go abroad, broaden your horizon, open your eyes, and see new perspectives. And don't limit yourself in just in Indonesia. So I think that's very inspiring. So again, I would like to thank Professor Chen for giving us the session, the discussion, and now I would like to give the photo session to the host of the seminar, please.
You have done a wonderful job as a moderator.
Thank you, Professor Chen.
Thank you, Pak Ahmad Hakam. So I would like to ask everyone to please activate your video because we're going to have a photo session. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right, so we'll start with slide 1. Okay. Okay, we'll wait for Pak Toto to appear.
Oke. Pakai ini aja. Gimana nih?
Yang hijau ini.
Baik, kita menunggu Pak Wakil Rektor 4.
Yang mana? Ini HP ya.
Sudah.
Oke.
Oke, Mbak udah.
Baik, Pak, kita mulai. We'll start the photo session now. Okay, slide 1. Ready and smile. Okay, second slide. All right, third slide.
Oke, sudah Mbak udah?
Masih, Pak, sebentar.
Giginya.
Okay, thank you everyone. So that concludes our seminar today. I would like to thank everybody here, especially to Professor Chen, Pak Rektor, Pak Wakil Rektor, Pak Dr. Totok Bintoro, serta our moderator, Pak Ahmad Hakam. Thank you everyone. Bagi yang sudah mengisi form absensinya, nanti kami akan memberikan sertifikat dan itu akan dibagikan di WhatsApp group. Terima kasih. Selamat sore. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Prof. Chen, for you.
Thank you. Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Thank you for the invitation.
Bye bye. See you.
Bye bye. See you in the near future.
谢谢，
Thank you very
谢
much.
谢。
Thank you, Prof.
See you soon. Bye bye.
See you next
谢谢
time.
陈教授。
See you next time.
谢谢。